growing up as a hood kid, I actually set out like a 15-year plan for myself when I decided to switch to social work. I actually made it a point to seek out situations that were difficult. And the kind of practicums I had were kind of wild. I'm learning all this stuff about historical trauma and justice. It felt really sad to learn about marginalized populations because I'm like, oh, they're talking about me. I want to get out of the hood.
I'm Travis Purdy, an alcoholic in recovery dedicated to giving back to the community that saved me. Join me and my incredible guests on our mission to break the stigma around mental health. One conversation at a time. This is Listen to Your Heart. Okay, welcome to Listen to Your Heart. I have Marissa Buendicho, licensed clinical social worker and a therapist in private practice. Marissa, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of
Happy
course.
to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So origin story, that's where we always start, you know.
Yes.
So where are you from? How you got in the field? Whatever feels good to share.
The lore, right? As Gen Z says.
I love it. The lore.
Yeah. The lore. Yeah. So from Kalihi, born and raised. So, you know, that community, right? Like it's the hood, you know, and even though there's a lot
I
of
was
like.
just talking about Kalihi, by the way. Sorry.
For real?
Yeah, sorry. I know. My bad,
what she was saying, what she said.
No.
No.
I used to live there. Yeah. We'll get to it.
What you said.
We get to it. Yeah.
No, but yeah, so it's, you know, it's the hood. There's a lot of socioeconomic struggle historically and like just really, really creative. You know, like I grew up in the 90s, which was like prime, you know, hip hop. So
Great decade to grow up in.
Right?
Great
Tell me
decade
not.
to grow
Yeah,
up
so
in.
like B-boys down the street, people like tagging, everyone like rapping and stuff and just a lot of singing. So like that's how I would get along with like the kids in school who I'm really small, so I'm like, don't bully me, don't take my quarter, let's go sing in the stairwell. So like it was a how to word it? So a tough neighborhood, but a very creative neighborhood. And then I guess that sort of, you know, just like that duality, there's a lot of layers, and that led me to be interested in like the human psyche and behavior and how we like come to be, because it's a trip to be like coming of age, right, in a place where there's so many layers. There's so much fight mode, right? People are like, what, brah, right? But then they're also like writing poetry in the corner. So I just was like curious about like my environment and like the whole vibe. And then so, social work and then psychology. And I've been in the field like, 18 years this year. So like almost 2 decades later, here I am.
Nice.
Yeah. It's kind of the condensed version.
Yeah. So this is what I've learned. So I I had to learn this because even though I grew up here and I'm mostly Polynesian, right? Mostly Pacific Islander, and I have some Asian and all that stuff. I didn't really think about this until I met other professionals in the field, Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders. And, you know, especially for like the Asian American side, right? There's like the 3 jobs you're supposed to get, right? Doctor, lawyer, engineer, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So, So I wanted to ask you, so when it comes time for you to go to school and you decide to do social work and all that, what kind of like response did you get from like your family or even friends?
Wow. That's a deep question. Right for the good stuff. I want to be like 5 minutes in. I love it. I'm about it. That's so like I didn't always want to go into social work. I changed my major like 8 times, to be honest. Yeah, like because originally I wanted to do like investigative journalism, like writing, and then my mom was like, please don't do that. You know, like just a little bit too much. And then I was also interested in music. But I play music and I sing mostly by ear. So the sheet music thing didn't really vibe. And I jumped around a bunch, and then I ended up in social work. And so my grandmother, who's rest in peace, rest in love, she's on my mom's side, who we lived with and grew up with in Kalihi. She was just kind of like, what is that? Like, I'm like, it's like a counselor. And she's like a counselor doctor. Yeah. she never know, but she still came to my graduation, so that's okay. My parents, I don't really think they understand what I do either, but they know that it's about helping people. So my dad, he's really sweet. At one point he was like, yeah, because of like the stuff you talk about, like in school I was really like social justice. When I was like learning about it, he was like, I'm trying to be more patient with people now. So I'm like, that's really nice. My friends, it's a mix. So I'm like Zennial, yeah, like millennial, Gen X, right? Yeah. And so my old school ones, they're like, should have been born Gen Z, like really sensitive, all the kind of stuff you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. They're like, we grew up all hard. What is this feeling stuff? So they don't really get it, but they like, but I guess they respect it, you know, because they're like, well, maybe we do need to like cry and hug puppies more and like use the word cute so we're not all like stressed and having these psychosomatic symptoms, because it does manifest, like lower back pain, chest pains, tension, headaches, stuff like that. We don't realize that it's like connected to unpacked stuff. So like I feel like that's just getting to be in mainstream. So I feel like they're kind of understanding it, not quite. Some of my other friends who are like in the field, activists, teachers, they kind of get it more. They vibe with it. So they're like, they don't understand all the time like why I'm in a private practice setting though. Like,
really?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's sort of this interesting idea with social justice, like for the people and stuff. And then profit and that entrepreneurial side, it wasn't really. So that's why I reached out to you, because I was like, I gotta expand my business, my patient panel. I need to build it a little bit. And so I think it's kind of cool now. Like that's where I'm at. I'm like in that middle space, like social justice clinical, but I need to like beef up my entrepreneurial business. It's not so anti-social justice as I think I originally thought. In my 20s, it was more black and white thinking. Now I understand that they got to go like hand in hand, because I want to help people, but I don't like starve. Right. I like travel too. So, I'm glad I connected with you,
Same.
Somebody who like, I think our first meeting, right? Like you had some stuff too growing up, and then you did some work. I hope it's okay. I'm like going on.
No,
just
please.
Flowing. Yeah,
so,
right?
Full disclosure, right before you came here, I shot my own episode.
Oh, that's what you was doing. Because you told me I was shooting one before this one.
And it was all about the alcohol addiction, the whole thing. So actually, that's why I was talking about Kalihi, because I used to go to this hole-in-the-wall bar. I just said in downtown Honolulu because, if you're not from here, it's kind of hard to know.
You're like, what is that?
Nah, but it was actually in Kalihi. Yeah.
Which one?
And I used to live Kalihi. My favorite liquor store was in Kalihi. So yeah.
You used to live Kalihi too?
Yeah.
Oh, now
a couple blocks away from Camp
right?
Shop. Yeah.
And we're about the same age, so you know what I'm talking about when you say it's that era.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're right here with that.
Yep. So there's two things that you brought up.
Yeah.
I could fill up the rest of the episode if we just talked about business and private practice, but I'm trying to make sure we like also help out and talk about mental health and the community at large. However, I definitely gonna ask you about the business stuff, but
it's all connected, bro.
Yeah, it's
all connected. Yeah. So I'm sure it'll come up organically.
Can you talk a little bit about the unpacked stuff that people have that kind of hold up in their body? Yeah, can you talk a little bit about that?
They tend to be generational patterns, right? And then so it's like family of origin stuff, and then the different social systems we're attached to. So like peers, academics, romantic relationships, all the things. And then also within like a historical context, right? So you mentioned, you're Polynesian, Asian, and then so that the historical trauma piece, right? So it all kind of like converges. It's like an amalgamation. And then if we don't like talk about it or reflect on it, it's there floating around, but then it'll come out I was just having this conversation this morning actually with my friends about fight mode. And what is fight mode? What is going on moke? Yeah. And I'm like, it's a trauma response a lot of the time.
Right.
Oh, bro, what you said, right? It's kind of like, so it's various responses. It usually comes out in the 4 Fs, I call them. So fight mode, flight mode, fawn mode, and freeze. So the typical one that I see that's kind of like arguably a little bit enmeshed in local culture, right, is when you feel threatened, right, or somebody slighted you, and then you kind of like big body action, right?
Yeah.
Like the puffer fish that goes, or like the peacock that, and then is like, like no mess, right? So fight, flight, like get me out of here. I don't want to engage. Freeze mode, where you just kind of like you literally like, oh, what do I? And it can be hard to like make decisions, know how to react. What is the last one? Fawning. That's another big one too, which I see it a lot in like the historical trauma stuff mixed in with local culture, right? The whole, nah, I get what you need. I give you the last shirt off my back. Like, I'll just people please and I'll rescue.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's how I see it manifested.
I only just became aware of the fawn one, right? Because I think we all kind of grow up hearing about fight or flight for sure.
Yes,
and then I learned about freeze as I've been in behavioral health. And then I just learned about like fawn. What is that? So thank you for that description. Yeah. I've not asked someone like
it's
before.
Very normalized here. Yeah. That was a newer one for me too. Similar to you, right? Fight. I was like, oh yeah, we grew up around that, right? Yeah. But then the fawning, because it's so, I mean, especially in like Hawaiʻi culture, local culture, like the kind of hyper collectivist culture, right? Very well intentioned, and it's like where are the boundaries? Like, when do you say no? When you say, sorry, auntie, I cannot bring by the bag of rice today. I get like couple stuff for do. Like, without feeling that sense of guilt, you know, that kind of obligatory, like, if I don't show up, then what does that mean in terms of like how I feel about you? Does that mean like I don't care about you? And it's all of this. So again, right, like, not that stuff is bad. I'm totally for collectivism, and I'm totally for like helping people out, but then it's just like to a degree, right? Like the degree to which you go, we gotta kind of be mindful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely does.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you know what? As you were sharing, I feel this responsibility as a man in my not mid 40s, but middle age. That's what I call myself, you know. I know some of us don't like that, but I like early 40s, you know. So, but I feel responsible as a guy who's built like a jock, loves jock things, loves very stereotypical masculine things. I feel responsible to say I'm a freezer. That's what. Now,
good self-awareness. Yeah.
It took me a while to. I don't know about be okay the right word, but it took me a while to accept that when, you know, emergencies or, you know, and like when you're, what do you call it? Like when your senses get heightened like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Fight's not my first thing. I wish it was as a dude, you know, like, no, I wish it was. I feel that. Yeah. But it's not even flight, even though I can like run away. It really is, that freeze is my go-to response. And it took me a few years to just kind of think about it. Sure. And then now say it out loud. Now I'm glad I'm able to say it out loud to another human, which I have before, but it's nice to be able to do that because, for us guys, right? I grew up in what I call man's world, right? And I grew up in like male athlete world, right? Where, right, no weakness and strength and all that. And usually the weaker of us get picked on or bullied, which is not cool. And there are a lot of guys out there who want to talk about their feelings and the things that make them feel scared and vulnerable. So when I get a chance to, I like to share the things that I'm afraid to share, and hopefully that can provide some hope for the next young man out there, or young child, guy, boy.
No, that's what's up. Like, I think step number one is like having a conversation about it, because that's how it becomes normalized. What you're talking about is building that self-awareness piece, right? To sit with it and be like, oh, damn, that's what I do, right? So there is an element of like radical acceptance, and I see you kind of like flinch there, like, it's okay. Right. Yeah, it's a very human response to like chaos and all the things, right? It is, I mean, there's a place for it, right? Like, we think about the old school, it's like biological wiring, right? If there's an animal in the room and it will eat you, right? You don't want to, you know, sometimes freeze, right? Like, it is the response, but it's just when it becomes your baseline, that's when it's worth, baseline meaning like that's kind of like your everyday, typical, right? Like, or a typical kind, like, then it's kind of like, that's worth examining. And then when you examine it and you own it, which I gotta say, it's really cool, you know, for you as like a dude's dude, a man's man, right? To like say it like assertively, like, oh, I realize like this is a thing that I have, because when you have that shame attached to it, when you have that, I don't like say, I don't like admit, then you can't really work with it. Right. You know what I'm saying? So again, like, right, it has that place, but then now that you've said it and you spoke it in, you know, to existence, you can work with it, right? And figure out what is the appropriate situation for freeze. And otherwise, how do I maybe prefer to respond moving forward? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, 100%. Yeah. And that's why I finally just kind of owned it internally and then externally, because like anything else, right? Shame gets stronger in the darkness. So like, we got to get it out, man.
Did you write that just now?
No, Brene Brown.
Oh, Brene Brown.
Yeah.
Oh, my girl right there. Yeah. Okay. That's...
Love Brene Brown. So when I got exposed to her and she started talking about that, I'm like, oh man, yes.
Yeah. Her work on vulnerability. Yeah. That's what you were.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So. Oh my gosh. Awesome. That's fantastic. Okay. Let me ask, I asked all of our licensed providers, you know, about their educational journey. I love how much experience you have. We're roughly we're basically in the same generation. Yeah. So there's a lot of cool like things that we can get about each other. So let me ask you about like your education and training, like the student, the practicum internship type stuff, even maybe post-grad clinical supervision stuff. I would love to hear some horror stories.
Oh, God. You don't even know. It's been a journey.
Yeah. Or some very positive ones. Yes.
Yeah, I can do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
sure.
like I've been in the field 18 years, and I actually made it a point to seek out situations that, like were difficult, and from mentors where like they had kind of a niche specialty, because the field is competitive, and and then part of it too, I think, is like being a hood kid, like there's that always like, I always I'm an overachiever. I kind of like underestimate myself, and I overestimate everyone else. So I'm like, in order for hang, I gotta like,
Really
so
go.
yeah. So from undergrad, which I had to stretch that out into 5 years, because I was working 3 jobs at the time. Like what was I doing? Working in restaurants. I did a lot of like promo modeling, but it was weird sometimes, because I'd go like work in the hospital, um, like class, hospital after school, talk to people about substance use, and then I work in the bar at night, and then sometimes people come in and be like, "Eh, you use that social?" No.
Wasn't me,
So it
bro.
was a lot of like interesting like duality, like to have to kind of, because social work, like trying to like earn my stripes, right? Like be very like professional. But then outside of that, like I'm an artist. I was in my 20s, like I wanted to go out, I wanted to party and have fun. And
Sure.
so that was kind of a trip. So yeah, a BSW program, that was kind of an interesting thing. And even grad school too, I was also like still in the industry. And yeah, it was just study, like class, practicum, which is like the internship, unpaid. So like that's why I had to work these restaurant jobs or promo modeling jobs, because it's at night, right? And then limited amount of hours, but then you major bucks, and then repeat. And then I just did that, and the kind of practicums I had were like, they were kind of wild. So the first one, I was like, I want to do domestic violence. So it was like, put me at the Domestic Violence Action Center. I was doing like going to different schools with like the Teen Alert program. DVAC was amazing. Like they taught me everything that I know with domestic violence, and talking to kids about what like healthy relationships should be like. And then also like in the courts. So like I would accompany like the advocates, they'd go up to women like who were filing for TROs, and they'd provide them with support, like sit with them, like listen to their story, like cry it out. Here are the resources. What do you want to do? Full on case management. So it was intense, and then at the same time, I'm learning all of this really deep, all this stuff about like historical trauma and justice and like the social. So I was just like, like, it felt really sad, and expansive, like to learn about marginalized populations, because I'm like, oh shit, they're talking about me. So yeah, so that was undergrad. And then I think, gosh, the years are blending together now. After that, I also worked in like homeless shelters, hospitals. I wanted to have like the full, like I wanted to know all the different systems. I wanted the legal system, the school systems. So yeah, that was like the practicums in school. And then this one practicum I had at a homeless shelter, my mentor, she taught me a lot about like advocacy. So it was like the first time I like wasn't like, what did we do one time? We marched up to this bank with like news cameras. It was so organized, and then with a mic being like, what would you say about like raising the fees for da 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 da? And like the guy just freaked out, and I was like, what is this? What is happening? So to see the different like facets of social work, like there's case management, there's therapy where I am now, and then there's the people who are like in their grassroots activism. So it was cool to get exposure to all that. Post grad was where it got kind of like, my first job out of grad school was working with the crisis line. So 6 years I did that. So
Wow.
24-hour shifts, they would call me like the access line, and they would be like, here's the name, here's the diagnosis, and it's either like they're off their meds and they gotta go to back to the hospital because they're like talking about the FBI is in the bushes and stuff, or domestic violence, they need to go to a shelter, or they're homeless for the first time. A lot of it was also like suicidal and homicidal ideation. So people who wanted to take their life or harm other people, we got to go in there, assess, destabilize, and then connect them. So that, I think, experience for 6 years was like why I'm really sharp now. Like when I have patients come in and they're like, I kind of want to like check out, like it doesn't, like I'm just like, okay, is there plan, means, intent? What are we going to do? So yeah, crisis, I did that. And then what did I do after? Then I moved. I knew I wanted to be like a therapist. I knew I wanted to do this full time, like like the case management stuff is cool too, but I like AC and parking. I get tired. I'm in my 30s now. You know, I'm like, bro, like in my 20s when I'm driving around everywhere, like that's fine. You know, I number one baby. I'm like, but now I'm like, I just like come in at 10 and then, you know, clock out at 5. I don't need to answer my phone. So like,
hey, that's real, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Cause you know, like I feel sometimes when I say that out loud, like people are like, you're not like, you know, like doing it for the cause anymore. And I'm like, bro, that was the first like 15 years of my career, like rest. So yeah, that's kind of the nutshell version. Yeah.
You know what's funny? Isn't it part of the cause though? Right? Like,
thank you for saying that.
I'm right, because
validate me. Go ahead.
The other thing,
validate me.
Yeah, because it's like the other thing is like we all evolve,
yes.
right? And so our personal lives, I mean, it should evolve, and then our work lives should evolve too, right? I actually love what you just shared, that you wanted to go into the harder things, right? The higher need situations, the real heavy stuff, man. I mean, you know better than me the type of heavy stuff you've heard and seen from our community. So I love that you got that experience. And I'm fortunate, most of the therapists I work with have worked a lot of community health type of things. So they've also, right, gotten exposed to that. But I've also worked with some where they kind of went the other way, you know, like they got a little bit of that and they figured out that's not what they want, which right. I have no judgment about that either way.
Right.
But I do know there's different paths to get to where you are now, private practice therapy, where you just help people in a way that's different than case management. Right. But it's all a team effort, though, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. Like, I still am in contact with like case managers. I mean, it's the whole collaborative treatment team thing. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that.
Hey, for sure. Hey, speaking from the heart.
Anytime.
Okay. So you crack me up, man. Oh, yeah, that's right. When it comes to like training and stuff, I would love for us to, if you have any like great supervisors that you had back then, I would love to shout them out. If you could say their names, you know, like shout them out. And if not supervisors from that time, like any professional mentors, you know, that we can shout out, give credit to.
Yes. So the women that I brought up who taught me about activism, Christy McPherson.
Right on, Christy.
Yeah. Christy, she's actually running for office, so please check her page out and vote for her. You like my Christy. Plug, huh? Yeah. She was great. Who else did I learn under that was pretty great? So there was Dr. Giannasio from Care Hawaiʻi. I really appreciated his style as a psychiatrist because you know, some of the people we worked with had like kind of these hardcore axis one, like, you know, disorders like paranoid schizophrenia, schizoaffective. And, you know, like just a lot of the things that they see and experience, it's so different, right, from what maybe the neurotypical person would experience in like everyday life. And so Dr. Giannasio would sit with them, of course, through the med management piece, but then he'd be like, you know, you see stuff running around your room. And I remember this one session I sat in and he was like, yeah, you know, Beatrix Potter, like the woman who wrote Peter Rabbit, he was like, she for real, she legit saw the rabbits running around her room and she wrote it. And now it's a children's classic all these years later. So I remember him asking the patient, he's like, you know, you like to write? Like, do you want to do some of that? You know, and then like while we adjust your medication, I remember thinking like, that's so cool. That's so dope. You know, that very strengths-based perspective, like kind of taking something hard and then like transmuting it, you know?
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Into a person's strength.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Something that works well for them.
Yeah.
Even though they're going through some stuff and need support. Right.
Mm.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for Dr. Giannasio.
Yeah. I don't know if he's still in practice, but if you're out there, you know, like I appreciate
like shout out, man.
Yeah.
So as a therapist, and you've been a licensed therapist almost 20 years now, right? Basically. Yeah. And like, what do you specialize in? Like, what do you normally see people for? What do you normally help people out with?
So that's evolved. So, I mean, initially it was domestic violence because like undergrad, that was like my roots. I still do some of that, but lately it's a lot of like diagnosing and treating like complex trauma, narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality. I'm starting to get some histrionic folks. And, you know, the cluster B population, sometimes providers are like, oh, but which I get because it's just very layered, you know?
Yeah.
But as I shared with you when we first met, like I grew up in a lot of those dynamics, you know, and So I take a trauma-informed approach, like when I get guys calling me up and being like, I think I have these patterns. What's happening? And then we just kind of do the deep dive with how did this come to be? Oh, this makes sense. This was a response to your upbringing. And how do we work with it? Right? The stuff that works, how do we build on it? And then the stuff that is maybe you getting into trouble, how do we like contain that? Right? And then like channel it somewhere else. Yeah.
Let me ask you about narcissism, because I think
such a big buzzword right now.
Yeah.
Psychology.
Yeah. It's a word that's out there. And I think most of us think we know exactly what that means. But, I'm not sure if clinically that's correct or not.
Sure.
But what do you think is like maybe like a misconception about narcissism?
I think a huge misconception with narcissism is that they honestly believe that they are the best in the room, and that the problem is that they just think that they're better than everyone else, and that's where it ends, and that they can't change. There's a lot of stuff out there right now that there's heavy stigma, like if you're with a narcissist, run and nothing will ever get better. And like, I don't think that that's true. And so from a trauma-informed perspective, that is kind of the armor, that like idea of I'm the best, everyone else be quiet. It's really, really, again, like the puffer fish, right? Like I feel small, but I will make myself look big or present as big because I'm a hurt kid inside. And then even with that, like there's covert narcissism. Like a lot of people think like the classic overt, I'm the best, like is the way, but covert narcissism, there's communal narcissism. So covert is kind of like the quieter, like they might not like boast, but then it's like, oh, everything is always happening to me. Like that guy shouldn't have got that job. Like nothing ever goes my way. I should have been the one to get it. So it's kind of this.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard it put that way. So are you saying that sometimes narcissistic people, it's not always like everything's about me in a good way? Sometimes everything could be about me in a bad way?
Bad way.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so people don't catch that covert narcissism part. They just think, oh, poor thing, Kakaasi, he's just down on his luck. But really, like, if you listen to the verbiage, it's just as dismissive as people with the more grandiose, overt presentation.
That's the one the rest of us know about, right?
Yes, that's the main one, or like the communal one, like I brought up, where they're always giving, they're always volunteering, they're always, but then you can kind of see underneath that there's like an ulterior motive. It's always like, please notice me, like that's kind of really at the core of it. Like, please look at me, please notice me, but also don't look at the real me. Don't look at my mistakes and my vulnerabilities because I can't, but the parts of me that I want you to see, you know what I mean? Like, look at that part. And then the part about like it never being able to change, like I firmly believe, because it's kind of like on a spectrum, like there are some people who have like traits and then others where it's like, it warrants a diagnosis and then it's more mild to moderate, and then people who are like very severe. I've had some folks come in who were like pretty on the severe end, but they worked their butts off, man. And they were like, this is really like affecting my life. So just tell me what to do. I don't really want to do it, but tell me, tell me like the proper way to be, And so, yeah, I have a lot of compassion, for folks with this armor, this personality style, like they're really just trying to like find their way in the world. And it's sad. It's like Arrested Development. It's like a little kid that like in a an adult body, but they never quite grew up,
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of a snapshot of that.
I heard like these are some different paths that people take to feel significant. Is that fair to say? Or feel important?
Yes.
Right? Or like, I guess, feel like they matter.
Absolutely, right? Like, regardless of the style, like whether it's communal, overt, or covert, it's all like the same thing. They just want to feel that they're seeking that corrective experience. That it typically, what I find, it's like a primary caregiver or both, either coddled them, but then wasn't there for them emotionally, or neglectful, or if there's like heavy substance use in the system, the child was never fully seen or heard. So then they adopt these patterns, and then they, you don't turn 18 and that stuff just goes away, right? Like you carry that on, and then like just there's this ongoing pattern of like unstable relationships or like unstable sense of self. Yeah, it can get really hard.
Yeah. Wow, thank you for sharing all of that. That is so far the most beautiful way I've heard narcissism like talked about.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, because normally there's, for many that watch anything that I make, I mean, I'm not a therapist. I never even went to college, right? But I own a mental health clinic and 20 something therapists work with us.
Mm.
So I'm like in behavioral health, but I'm more of an admin person. And then, of course, I have my own mental health journey. And I feel like for the, Joe Public or whatever, like we just kind of think of narcissists as like big jerks, that just always, like you said, I'm the best, I'm the this. And, as someone that helps the people that experience the range of that, like, wow, yeah, thank you for that. That I hope that provides some empathy for others
Yeah.
that live with those that have that.
I hope so too. And to be fair, for those on the receiving end,
Yeah,
like I
right.
get it. I get it because I also work with people where they're like, I think my partner's a narcissist, and I'm like, tell me what happened or show me the text, and then I'm
Yes.
like, oh, yeah, so that's sort of I use the analogy of like the tip of the iceberg. It truly is. So there's a reason that that's kind of the mainstream or like the widely accepted narrative, right, of what a narcissist is because that's how they often present, and
Yeah.
it's just not everybody is doing this deep dive, deep training, and like what is underneath the iceberg, right? So like the part that we can't see that's underneath the water is like family dysfunction or unpacked trauma, different things like that.
So if you are one of these people
Mm.
who are living with someone, whether literal living, right,
Yeah.
spouse, or family member, coworker, whatever,
Yeah.
if you are living with someone that is diagnosed narcissistic or maybe seems like they might be,
Yeah.
what's your 3 biggest pieces of advice for that person?
Okay, so 1, if they're in therapy, well, it would be helpful to know whether they're in therapy and then whether they're in therapy with somebody who is trained, like in that. Because a lot of times therapists who are maybe a little green or that's not, their field of expertise, they'll miss it. And then they'll end up treating it as if it's normal, like, anxiety or depression, and they'll actually encourage, no, speak up more, speak your mind more. And so that's key, 1, like try to find out if they're in therapy with somebody who's a trained provider, because that'll kind of give you an idea of like the trajectory. It is very difficult for things to change if they are not doing the self-work. And so, and then also know that if you ask them, they might not totally be honest about that either.
Right.
Like, so that would be, but like ideally, right, like you could just know for yourself. And then like kind of do the grief work, like especially if they're like, no, I'm good, nothing's wrong with me, like I'm totally fine with these patterns, then it's kind of being like, all right, like, and then now where do I go from here? So step 1, right, is are they aware, do they want to do the work, or do they not want to do the work? Okay, if they do want to do the work, then expect that it's going to be a battlefield before things get a little bit better, and that depending on the severity of the narcissistic traits, you might not see full like resolve. It might just be, I will do the correct behavior, but I'm still going to have these kind of out-of-pocket thoughts, or I might say things sometimes. If they don't want to do the work, it'll probably get worse. Like it'll be more of the same, and then it'll get worse. So, and then the third piece of advice would be whether they are doing the work or they're not doing the work. Boundaries. So boundaries without parenting, because the interesting thing is people who tend to be drawn to narcissists, they are not neurotypical themselves. And that's a big myth too, that everybody thinks that it's a dichotomy, that there's a narcissist and there's just like the super angelic person that like, no, you know what I mean? Like 9 times out of 10 from what I've seen, like the narcissist, a narcissistic person will pair with somebody who is either codependent, has borderline, has narcissistic traits themselves. They come from similar upbringings. And so it's like a hand fitting in a glove. So when you set your boundaries, right, it's going to also be doing a lot of self-reflective work, right? When I set this boundary, do I fawn? Do I parent them? Am I being the rescuer? Am I going into fight mode when I set these boundaries, and feeding into the dynamic?
Interesting. Okay, so
that's an unpopular
right.
People, when I tell people that, they're like, what are you trying to say about me? I'm like, I'm saying what I'm saying, own it, like, and then we can work with it.
Yeah. And either way, it sounds like there's a lot of work on both sides.
Absolutely.
Right. If you're trying to create a life or a relationship that's different than the one that you have now, if you're not, fully happy with it and stuff, it's going to take work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I got to ask about borderline personality disorder. I feel like
Yes.
many of us in the, non-clinicians, like we don't know a ton about what that means exactly. Can you share about borderline personality disorder since you help folks with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So borderline, what's interesting about this is it's the sister diagnosis to narcissism.
Okay.
So the analogy that I heard from another clinician, which I loved, and I'm going to share it here, is he told me that with both narcissism and borderline, it's like a tire with holes in it, right? And so
Okay.
like until you patch it up, right, you have to keep overinflating it.
Oh.
Yeah, so you always need that supply. So with both narcissism and borderline, you need this validation, give me compliments, help me feel important, parent me essentially, or let me parent you. So there's heavy codependence. With borderline, it's kind of like if there's an emotional well and like the water in it is like, right, like your emotions, then it's always overflowing. So with the classic borderline presentation is like when you feel an emotion, like all the lights in the house are on, and then when you have big feelings, they're very, very big. And so that's
They're
why
really big.
very big. So that's why you see, yeah, it's kind of, so sometimes people look at that and they're like, are you having a bipolar episode? Because
Mania.
yes, you can have episodes of like hypomania. That's why they call it borderline, because it's on the border of psychosis and neurosis. Sometimes you can have bouts of like, oh, everybody's against me, everybody's talking about me, because you're so desperate to be liked and accepted. And then when you have that rejection piece, then that's where you have you spin out, you spiral, you self-harm, frequent suicidality. It's a lot, like it can be. Whereas with the narcissistic presentation, it's like the emotional well is almost always kind of dried up. It's low.
Oh.
Yeah, like we're there. So that, or like what they call quiet BPD or quiet borderline. There's actually newer studies, which is very interesting, that say I think as high as 40% there can be traits of both.
Okay.
Which makes sense, right? If they're sister diagnoses, right?
Sister diagnoses,
yes.
Yeah.
And so like with the narcissist person, right? Like narcissistic person, low emotional expression. So that's why they can handle when the borderline person is like, and then they're like, it's okay, calm down, Yeah, like they can handle it. Whereas somebody more neurotypical, they'd be like, you all right? You need to go ER? Like, like
yeah,
which...
like almost getting drowned in this wave here. Yeah.
like the emotions swallow you. And so the stigma around that is quite sad too. Like a lot of people just kind of write them off as like, oh, you're just like attention seeking. They are... The classic presentation that I've seen is, they still have like that attention seeking stuff like the narcissist, but instead of I'm the star, it's you're the star. What do you need? I got you. Do you need like a tray of cookies with that? Like they're like down to be like the what do you call them? Like
the hype man assistant or something?
Yeah. The hype man. Yeah. So that's why it can be like a hand fitting in a glove.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
Interesting. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. No, I definitely, when I knew we were going to do this, and I know we talked before, so like you mentioned, like helping folks with that, I'm like, man, because you're right. In my experience, many therapists shy away from.
And I get it, right? I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like when I do my assessments, and I'm like, okay, wait, how long ago were you hospitalized? 3 days ago, and then I gotta like reassess. But for ones who the suicidality stuff isn't as high, because I mean, I get it, like when you're in private practice, it's just you. It's not like a clinic where it's wraparound services, right? And get after hours people. No, right? Like when it's 8 p.m. at night, it's just you. So like I get why a lot of clinicians shy away from it. And I myself, I will tend to take people where those symptoms are like kind of at a minimum at this point, because it's liability, right? Like I'm trying to clock out at 6,
And it is just you.
Yes.
It is just you for support and all that. Yeah. And that actually, so I feel like I got to ask you, okay, so you help those folks. So on private practice, I almost kind of like lost my train of thought, because I was just thinking about the other folks who like shy away from that.
Yeah.
Why did you get into private practice?
Why?
Yeah.
So again, I wanted AC and parking.
Okay.
Right?
Yep, love that.
I wanted to, I mean, like part of it was like, growing up as a hood kid, right? I actually set out like a 15-year plan for myself when I decided to switch to social work.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
15 years.
I told myself, I was like, by the time I'm in my mid-30s, I want to be in a private practice setting. Because, again, right, like I want to get out of the hood, right? Like, so part of it was, just fiscally I wanted to, evolve. And then the other part was, I mean, I just think, like I grew up in a lot of this stuff. I come from a neighborhood that has a lot of generational trauma. My family of origin, there's generational trauma. So a lot of these, personality traits and styles that I'm describing very intimately, it's like, those are, a lot of, people in my family. I'm not going to say which ones, but, just in case you guys stay watching, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, and then I myself, right, because I grew up in that, I didn't come out of that unscathed. So when some people say some out-of-pocket stuff sometimes in session, I'm like, I thought that, and then I can normalize it for them. And I clinically self-disclose. I'm like, yeah, sometimes when I was in the season that you were in, I did do these things. And then this is, so kind of similar to what you do, like when you clinically, or I guess it is still the same thing, clinically appropriate self-disclosure, right? Like when you're doing like your segments and stuff, like it helps, to like normalize it for people to feel like they're not being judged, that you do come from a place of compassion, and then they're more willing to talk about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's, I mean, really, like, I had some colleagues joke with me. They're like, "Brah, you monetized your trauma." I was like, "Yeah, small kind, yeah." Like, if I'm going to be real about it, like, that's kind of the core of it, Like, all of, like, these factors and stuff, it was, like, right here for me growing up. And so I was like, okay, it's not going away. What do I do with it? So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a little biased to the clinically appropriate self-disclosure because... maybe because I'm not a trained therapist, I've said this a bunch of times now, is, to be honest, I only know how to help people one way. And that's through sharing my experience when appropriate, right? And I try my best not to make the whole thing about me, but yeah, I'm still human too.
Right.
But yeah, so I only know how to do it that way. Sometimes I try to talk like in theory or someone else's example, but then it just doesn't feel as like I'm not as connected. Yeah. It doesn't feel as authentic.
No, I actually appreciate that you like, share your stuff and then my stuff, because then it's more like this like reciprocity kind of dialogue stuff, and it just, I feel like a lot of good conversation can come from that.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, normally I ask folks, but I think you said it already. I think this is the way we help destigmatize, like, right, needing support for mental health, or just how about that? Just going to therapy, right? Like this is how we like destigmatize it. We just have conversations, and I think with a bunch of vulnerability, that an individual feels comfortable sharing, like that's how we help it. That's how we help it. So, I definitely did want to ask you this. Okay, so narcissism, BPD, you're in, you do therapy, you provide mental health services for people with anxiety, depression, individuals, so on. So generally now, when people find out the nature of your work, whether it's your, clinician friends or maybe colleagues that you meet, right? I mean, we just met recently. So what do people ask you about, like, commonly? What do people commonly ask you about, say, narcissistic folks or BPD folks? What's like some of the common questions you get?
Why? Like, how come you like work with that population? Like they don't know, like, because I think, and a lot of them are reading like that pop psychology stuff, where it's very they hype up all like the worst case scenario parts, and then so I'll tell them, I'm like, how I grew up, it's so similar to like what I told you. They'll ask how I have patience, how I don't have burnout, which I think is a good question, because
how do you have
a lot of boundaries. So like the same things I tell my patients to do, I'm like, I take breaks. I will rarely work a day where I just work straight through. Like, I'm very strict about like, no, I need a lunch. Like today I have a 2-hour lunch.
Nice.
Between this and when I go back to the office, right? And I have hobbies, so like last night I went bachata dancing with my friend, so like things to refuel. Yeah. So I think those are like the two like common, like, why, and then how do you level out?
In these same scenarios, what should people ask you?
I guess I wish people would be more curious and maybe ask like why did they or how, not why, but how, like how did they come to have these patterns, or aside from like the tip of the iceberg, stuff like, just like what went down for them, right? What happened to them in childhood, like that. Like, I just wish people
That
would,
type of why.
yeah, that type of why,
Yeah.
versus like, how come they're such a jerk for, like just.
Not why you like help them,
yeah.
but why did they end up with those
like what happened with them?
behaviors?
Like, what was their origin story? What was their lore? Because that's typically where I start with them. I'm like, tell me about you. Similar how you did with me. Tell me about, like, what's your story? What's the deal?
Excellent.
Yeah.
You know what? You kind of mentioned it, right? Pop psychology and whatnot. And I've been asking more and more therapists, right?
Yeah.
So pop psychology, therapy speak, whatever. These days, thankfully, there are more people talking about mental health. There are a lot of non-clinical people talking about mental health, right? Also, the DSM's out there. So there are a lot of people, non-clinicians, that use therapy language, right? Use clinical language. Yeah, you know where I'm going. You know where I'm going. There are a lot of people who use clinical language to describe, oh, I got PTSD over XYZ. When clinically, maybe it's not PTSD, so maybe we shouldn't say that. So now that I'm in the field, I'm super aware of like that language.
Yeah.
So as an actual therapist, talk to me a little bit about the pop psychology, about the therapy speak out there.
It's been one of my biggest frustrations.
Sure.
And partly because, spreading misinformation, like, it can be dangerous. The deeper reason is, like, it's partly like, I know I project, like when it's non-clinical people, again, it comes back to like me being a hood kid, me graduating Farrington, and then I don't feel smart enough. So sometimes, like, when I hear people speak who are non-clinical and they self-diagnose or whatever, they're doing all this stuff, then I sometimes look at them and I get annoyed, but then I have to be honest with myself and I have to be like, the degree to which I'm getting annoyed with you, is that you or is that me? So projection. So I'm in the space of where I'm trying to be more self-aware of like how I react to it, because I notice I get really annoyed, but that's less them and more me. And then I guess the last thing on that note is, please do not self-diagnose, guys. Like, just I think the most popular one that I hear is I think I'm autistic. And they tend to be people who have either narcissism or borderline, because it just sounds a lot nicer, right? I didn't mean to be a jerk. It's neurologically not my fault, versus like behaviorally I have these patterns where I just want to get my way. So I think that's the most common self-diagnosis that I see. And then I have to break it down, because there can be overlap. Like, I've certainly worked with some individuals who have, they're on the spectrum of autism, and they also have like narcissistic or borderline traits. But some of the stuff with like, I want to be the best, and like, I'm like, that's not autism, bruh. Let's just call that for what that is. So that's my take on that.
Yeah. Thank you. So I got to ask you about this. Okay. Yeah. I read on your LinkedIn. Yeah. I love this line. It's just so good. I read this on your LinkedIn. A little bit edgy and a whole lot creative. Yeah. I think we've kind of got that sense just in the minutes we've been sitting over here. But I wanted to ask you specifically about that. Yeah. Tell me about a little bit edgy, but a whole lot creative.
So, I mean, you guys have been hanging out with us. I don't know how far in we are, right? At least half an hour. Like, you can see I'm not necessarily like the most conventional. And I think that's coming from like Kalihi'a, like very, the hood will not fully disappear, right? I will sometimes call it how I see it, but professionally, of course, and then creative. So again, right, coming from Kalihi, and just, I love all things art. So like painting, drawing, singing, I rap a little bit. I'm learning to dance, cook, modeling, just like coming from a very creative community. And then also my family of origin, like my mom plays the piano, my dad, he plays guitar, he sings, he was always making stuff, growing up. And my brother raps, really good at it, plays the piano too. And so I feel like it's a really great way to just give like meaning to life, like my quality of life, like feels it's a great balance to have all this clinical heady stuff with also just creative stuff. And then it's a way that I stay like connected to my community and my family, and then also I integrate it into my practice. So I'll have there's this young woman I work with where she's such a great writer. And so once a week, she'll like bring in all her poetry or her short stories. And then we'll read it, but then I'll also analyze it the way that I would a dream. So it's kind of like dream analysis for art. And I'll be like, you see the way you wrote this character there? That's you. And then the sister, that's actually your mom. And she'll be like, oh my God, it is. You know, like, and so, yeah, it makes it a fun way to kind of switch up sessions.
Yeah. What is your favorite, I don't know, way to express your art? Yeah. What's your favorite outlet for art for yourself?
Probably singing, just because I've been doing that the longest since I was like 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does it feel like when you get a chance to,
When I get a chance to sing?
Yeah.
I've never had anyone ask me that. That's a good question. It feels otherworldly, kind of surreal. Like I'm here, but I'm not. And it's like I'm tuned into what's in front of me, but I'm also somewhere else. It's hard to describe, but it's it almost feels like a divine experience. So it's dope. Like no matter what I'm doing, no matter like how crazy the day is, like if I just, sometimes at work I'll go like sing in the stairwell afterwards after I've had a hard day. And I just feel very like enveloped. So that's nice.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. How about you? You sing?
I love singing.
Do you really? Go on, like here, a couple lines right now.
I love singing.
Do you really?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, one of my, we can call them self-care activities, but one of the things that does refuel me is like just randomly singing in the car, you know? And I get to spend a little more time in the car these days, like going to in-person things.
Yeah.
So I got to remember, because normally I'm too much in my head. I've been saying now for all of this calendar year and will forever, I'm closer to being an analyst than an artist. That's just the way I see myself, because I'm very brain heady first, right? But then I got to remember the things that actually fill up my spirit. Of course, I love working out, but it sometimes feels like work. And then, but just like randomly singing, you know, and it doesn't matter what kind, as long as I like the music. So I've been listening to music more. Normally I'm like a car, music off in the car kind of guy, you know, I'm like such an old guy style, you know, no radio, no talking, just dead silence.
I love that. You're just listening to the sound of like the wind in the trees. It's like mindfulness meditation. We'll call it that.
Yeah, a little mindfulness on the road.
Yes.
So yes, I love singing, and I wanted to ask you about, you know, music, art, creativity.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing how you like integrate it in your practice.
Yeah.
What are some of the outcomes you're seeing from people? Obviously not super specific, but you know, like what kind of like positive things are you seeing from the people you help when you're able to
kind of like get in there and do that? Really heightened self-awareness. Just them getting to know themselves on a deeper level. They're like, oh, that's what I was writing about all that time, you know, like, and then for them to like connect dots, it's really cool to see. And then them just, it's a good like confidence builder. I imagine you see the same thing in like your gym, right? When people like are sharing about like the skill set they've acquired or like, right? Like it's just, you see, right? Like that glisten in their eyes, and it's like, it's so rewarding, you know? So yeah, like them, like even if I'm not analyzing it, like them just being like, I wrote this song, can I share it for you? And then they're like, oh, it took me forever to learn that guitar riff, you know, like, and it's, yeah, like I've had people bring in like their musical instruments before and like share what they've written, and just to see them like build that confidence and feel proud of themselves. Yeah, like I would call that like a huge win. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
That I've seen. Yeah.
What would you say to someone who says, oh, I'm just not that creative? That's very common for many of us, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What would you say to that?
I hear that all the time.
Yeah, sure.
What makes you think that? That's where I start.
Okay.
I'm like, where does that come from? Who told you that?
You know what? Can we go through that?
Yeah.
Because I'm one of these people.
Okay, around mini sessions.
Yeah. Fast guy. I'm one of these people. Like I said, I'm more analyst than artist. That's kind of how I see myself. That's the sentence that I've used. Why do I feel like I'm not that creative? It feels hard. It feels hard to like create something out of nothing. So that's why I think I'm not that creative.
It sounds like you find safety in being more of the analyst.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I think I might have mentioned earlier, I often do not feel super safe in the world. So like my kind of armor, if you will, has been people skills. This is what I've learned about myself. I was an extrovert in training as a kid, and then I got a chance to go into sales, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not shy. I actually thought I was shy most of my, youth.
Yeah.
But once I got a chance to like talk to people, I love people, but I'm also afraid of the person, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. It's a vulnerability thing.
Yeah. And kind of my way of getting through the world is, instead of avoiding people, because I actually do love people, I just talk. and I listen, and I'm, what do you call it? I'm smiley, like I engage with folks. That's my armor though. People skills.
Is this not a form of creativity right now? Like what's happening in front of us?
I mean, yeah.
It's visual media.
It's visual media. Yeah.
And, audio too, right?
Yep.
Podcast. So the
Maybe.
thing that you're saying that you're not doing, you're literally doing it right now, bro. Like
That's true. You're not wrong.
It's just the part of you that you haven't identified with yet.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Because my first impression of you, I was like, oh, this guy's like entrepreneur, but I was like, he's very creative. So that was my initial impression of you.
You
like
actually use that word creative.
Ah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So it's just a part of you that hasn't integrated yet.
Okay.
That's all.
Got it. Yeah, I just need more reps.
Yeah.
I kind of frame everything eventually into some sort of fitness thing. I just need more reps.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right. I hope that helps other people out there too who are like, oh, I'm just not creative. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's in there, right? So, okay, awesome. Thank you very much. You know what? You're right. I should know this because being in sales or being in business, it's not a very, there's a lot of structure that can come with business, but most of it, like true entrepreneurship, is a creative thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My original major was advertising because I thought it's beautiful. Psychology meets marketing.
Right.
And so business is absolutely creative.
Yeah.
The way that you and your partner, what was the one who did the presentation? What was her name?
Oh, Dr. Wright.
Yeah. When you guys came in, honestly, not that I didn't love everything at IVAT, but your presentation was the most creative.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted it to present well, but I wanted it to present well from like, I don't want to call it entertainment standpoint, but partly
It absolutely
from like
was. Yeah.
information, but dang, that particular conference is full of very heavy stuff. It's about violence and trauma.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I was
International
like,
violence and trauma.
I was relieved to laugh, in your, yeah.
Yeah. I'm about to give the same presentation next month. I'm like, I want to figure out where I can put music in it.
There it is.
Okay, I better
Have
stop
your
saying.
theme song coming on, and
Yeah.
then just how they do like with like the MMA or UFC fights, right?
I
Have your
love
theme
I love
song
pro
coming on.
wrestling, so
There we go.
WWE.
Oh,
Yep.
there it is.
Yep.
See? Michiko's roots right there.
Okay. All right. I better stop this whole I'm not that creative thing. I got it.
Yeah, and honestly, what you said earlier, I just need more reps. I don't even think it's about you needing more reps. I think it's as you're doing the reps to own it in real time.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I am okay. Yeah. Because I haven't identified it enough. So like just make that connection.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Non-creative folks out there, you heard that?
Non-creative, right?
Non-creative. Okay. So let me shift to this. Also on our show, we love practical advice stuff.
Yes.
I think we had a really great time being able to talk practical advice related around like narcissism and also borderline personality. We talked about mental health, kind of weave through everything related here.
All the things.
Yeah. I came up with this thing. I call it the 3 levels of advice. So here's the 3 levels. So the first level is someone in school right now, whether undergrad or master's level, but they want to be a therapist.
Sure.
Right. So, but they're in school. What's your advice for the school-going folks?
School-going folks. Just get experience, like try a bunch of different stuff, be well-rounded, be open. Even if you have like kind of the thing that you feel like is your niche, just try a bunch of different stuff anyway, because you never know, and then it'll come up later, like it usually does. I don't know, like there's so many skill sets to be learned in this field, and so the more exposure you have early on, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second level of advice is, okay, now that person has gone through school, they've done all their post-grad clinical supervision hours and all those things, took the tests, and then bam, they passed.
Yeah.
So they just got issued their license number, newly licensed therapist, early career. What's your advice for them?
Don't go straight into private practice. You gotta earn your stripes though. So I have this colleague that I have tremendous respect for. She was in the private practice setting and she actually stepped back for I think a little over a year, took a pay cut, went to work in like an inpatient facility to up her chops, and then came back. So you know what I'm saying? Like that, I'm like, that's what's up, because if you're clinically licensed, right, like you assume like a higher amount of responsibility. And if you're going to be charging people 100 something per hour, bro, you better be good. You better be solid.
Liability too.
Yeah.
Not just responsibility, right?
Thank you for
Liability too.
Absolutely. Because it's all you, right?
It's all
That's
you.
all you.
Yeah. I've heard somebody describe it that way. It's like all of a sudden you can't do anything without anybody.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, here's your license. Boom, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Diagnose it all, support, the whole thing.
Yeah, it can be kind of scary, like especially when stuff is hitting the fan and where you normally would have like oh, hot potato, right, to like the supervisor now, which is just you, right? So it's very helpful to kind of do that like in the trenches training, so that like when you are on your own, like you can handle basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to do a disservice.
Yeah. So the third level of advice. So now this, theoretical individual, they've been licensed for some years, 5 years, 10 years, 8, whatever.
Sure.
They've been in the field for a bit.
Okay.
Got some of their experience, like you described, organizational, maybe they want to go into private practice, maybe not. Maybe they're still kind of playing with the idea. Maybe they don't love their job. They're just they're working though. They're a working therapist now. So what kind of advice would you have for them?
I would say network, build community, which is why, again, thank you for connecting with me. Yeah. Because sometimes it can feel a little lonely, and it's good to just say like connected, just with the different resources that are out there, that, like just what different people are working on. So it just keeps things fresh, and then it keeps it fun, too. Yeah, that's first thing that comes to mind around that.
Networking. Yeah. No, great.
Yeah.
And you know what? Since I've been like internally trying to like take it easy on the business questions, like just wait for a little bit, because like I said, most of the time my brain's always living there. So fantastic practical advice. Thank you. So, okay, private practice wise, can I ask you some like random questions about your business and all that?
Shoot, go ahead.
So honestly, one of my favorite questions is twofold. So what's going really well with your business right now?
Oh, business has been booming. I put up a Psychology Today page, which my partner wrote for me. Thank you so much, honey. Yeah, he went to school for PR, so I was like, wow. Here's the info, please,
great
like
copywriter.
Yes, it was. So I'm consistently getting like 1 or 2 calls a week. So it's a great problem to have, even though it's kind of exhausting right now.
Sure. Yeah. So what's the biggest challenge you have in your business right now? And like, what are you doing to, work on that?
The biggest challenge I would say is I miss doing art therapy. So I used to, at an old clinic I worked at, I did it with people who had like paranoid schizophrenia, bipolar. And then in another setting, I did it with kids. So just, we get like canvases, like paint, art. So I miss doing that. We just don't necessarily have the space for that right now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of.
Are you do you in person or just telehealth? Or?
In person and telehealth.
Okay, both. Got it.
So that part is a bit challenging. Like I really miss integrating that part. Like they the owners of the practice are so sweet. They're like, no worries, just throw in tarp. I'm like, you don't know how I paint. Like things get everywhere, and then it will never come out. So like I need like a bigger space. But yeah,
I see. Okay.
We're working on that. Yeah, we're in the talks about like maybe getting a bigger space. So,
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
So, in like in your practice, just like in your business life, career, what are you most excited about right now?
What am I most excited about? I'm about to turn 40 this year.
Right on. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah,
hey, 40s are great, let me tell you.
Is it? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Right? Like more self-assured, all the things.
Yeah.
Because I'm just
that narrative about
30s.
getting old,
right.
Getting old's a mindset.
I like that. Remember that. And so, like with, I feel like I'm almost like in the next phase of like adulthood. And I feel this like, when I was younger, I was so punchy, brah. And like now I'm like in my I'm in my soft era, like let them, and I'm really like chill. So I'm really excited to see how that's gonna affect my practice. Because when I was fiery activism in my 20s, I mean, like I have an anarchy tattoo, right? Like I was, that really informed, like the way I was practicing. It was very passionate. It was very like, sessions were fiery. And then now I can feel it kind of taking a turn. A lot of times I'm just like, and then quietly at the end, I'll be like, da-da-da-da-da, and it'll be like a mic drop moment. Whereas, the way I practiced before was, and he said, what to you? And no, that is not the way and like worth of the human being. And I would be so like, and now I'm just like, wow, I was so extra back then. Which, it vibed well, like with the kind of work that I was doing, when I was doing more of the domestic violence work and more of that stuff. Like, that was more fitting. But now, right, that I'm like, getting older, I like it quieter, I like my AC. Yeah, like it's cool. I'm like, I wonder what will happen, like 5-10 years from now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the practitioner out there who wants to get into private practice but hasn't done it yet,
yes,
what's the 2 most valuable things you could tell them?
Oh, I remember that feeling. Oh, it was so daunting. Hit up Travis.
Oh,
yeah.
Not a planted
Hit him
question.
up.
Sorry.
No, I would just say honestly, like, what helped me is I sought out, people who I felt were business savvy, so like, when I was first getting started in private practice, shout out to Dr. Errol Hammerat. Thank you. I think you're still in practice, but you're traveling right now, I believe, in Europe. But
Dr.
yeah,
Errol.
he's a clinical psychologist and he's been practicing a long time. So I went to him and I was like, what do I do? And he like put me in contact with credentialing. He explained how that worked. He explained how office space worked. So I would say, yeah, like get with somebody who is like just privy to that and who has like been doing that, because the administrative stuff I feel like is like the most, it can feel daunting, because you got to get like credentialed with all the insurance companies and and then like your LLC and like whatever, like all of that, can be a lot. So
yeah,
get with someone.
Get with somebody. Get a mentor.
Yep.
Ask somebody something. And what's really cool is there are a lot of people willing to help.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we start kind of working towards the end of the interview over here, let me ask, how can someone support your work? Where can they find, I know you mentioned Psychology Today. Yeah. How can we support your work?
Look me up on Psychology Today.
Okay.
Just type in Marissa Buendicho. I know it's a mouthful, so you like me spell them now.
Where's your guys? Where's your office? Where do you work out of?
So I work for it's a small group practice, Empower Mental Health. We're located in like the Kapiolani area.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, over
okay.
there.
Kapiolani town. Yep.
We're over there.
Yeah.
And I work with 4 other fantastic clinicians. Yeah, if there's a need. So yeah, look me up on Psychology Today. I'm also on LinkedIn. Instagram, my panhandle, Kalihi all day. I'm pretty good at that one.
Hey, talk about Kalihi proud, man.
I post a lot of like psychology content there, so that's always fun.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, no, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so before I ask you our last, aka signature question, I did want to take a little bit of time just to talk a little bit about you.
Sure. What do you mean by that?
Well, I wanted to like acknowledge you and share some like nice stuff about you.
Aww.
Yeah. So I know we briefly met at IVAT. I know you mentioned that.
Yeah.
But really we got connected because thank you for just randomly emailing me.
Yeah, thank you.
As a lifelong sales guy, I love the reach out. Because I know like if you reach out to someone you didn't really talk to before,
right?
You run the risk of, and they're not going to message you back.
Right.
Or like, or they may just kind of delete you right out of the inbox. Right. Yeah. So I appreciate a good reach out, cold, warm, whatever, a good reach out. So thank you for that. Second, when we got a chance to like actually meet online and like talk story so I normally block off time to meet with providers I meet for like an hour, but honestly 9 out of 10 times it usually goes maybe half an hour. It's like very cool. It's very chill. We just like talk story a little bit. I try my best to help in whatever area, that they bring up, related to private practice. Sometimes that turns into people wanting to come work with us. Other times it's just like, I just trying to help, I've been saying part of our mission is we help therapists open private practices, but there's not subtext like I only help people who work with us. Like, no, literally my mission is I just want to help therapists with private practice, because I know it is daunting and I know you guys don't learn about it in school. Yeah. A lot of clinical training, pretty much no business stuff. Right. Yeah. So that's where I feel like I can bring value to your guys' industry and now our industry, that I get to the pleasure of working in. But when we met, like you and I talked for like more than an hour.
I know. Yeah. I was like checking the time. I was like, oh, sorry. Yeah, you got to get to your next one.
I know. Because like, I just like really enjoyed like meeting you, talking story. I'll be honest. I love the way you shift back and forth between, pigeon action, like good, like you say, straight Kalihi action. Yeah. And then all of a sudden we're talking about, I know you use a bunch of clinical words that I can't even remember off the top of my head now. We're talking about, and they'll like cluster this and it is. I'm like, I love your ability to just go back and forth between that.
Code switching, huh?
Code, yeah.
Yeah, code switch. Yeah. I think that's what Gen Z says. Yeah.
I love the switch because I don't know, to me it's just another person working in the field, another human out here. It's like so relatable.
No, for real. Yeah. I really don't know how else to be. In my younger years when I was being mentored, like some people who were very by the book, they'd be like, Marissa, I don't know if you want to like tone some of that other stuff down. I'd be like, I'm sorry, but I don't like. I don't know how else to. Yeah. So, Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I feel like
sure.
you're like a similar, similar vibe too.
I mean, to
Yeah.
be fair, that's probably why I like it, because I have a similar vibe,
We
like
mirroring each other's small kind.
yes,
Yeah.
that small kind, man. What's funny, I forget who, it happened to me recently, but someone asked, well, why you talk so good?
Why you talk like that for?
Yeah. And I'm like, well, it's like a couple of reasons. Like, we didn't use a ton of pidgin in like my household, not a ton, but then I also went to private school, so that helped. But
Right.
the real thing that helped after all that groundwork is I got into sales at 18 years old.
Oh, nah.
So I had to meet people, and I'm 18, and most of the customers were, 30, 40, 50.
Grown.
And then we had a lot of military customers, so many people from the continent.
Right.
So it kind of be all brought up
I know.
action.
They're gonna be like, what you said?
Yeah. Kind of like uncle, auntie, then.
Right, yeah.
So very quickly, and because I was so young and my own kind of self-esteem, I was like, man, I better try and present
Right.
as like, professional and straightforward as
Yes.
possible. So keeping proper English was not that hard. And then, just kind of now I'm in my 40s or whatever. So, little pidgin here, a little bit of slang there. It's all good.
Right.
It's all me. That's it. It's all me.
Yes.
So yeah, you're right. So I love, so I appreciate your vibe.
Same. Yeah, we're having a good time. This hour is like flying by.
Yeah, just talking story.
Yeah.
Hanging out. Cameras happen to be here. We just hanging out. And the art. That's right. I wanted to make sure to write this down. So I love how you integrate literal art into your clinical work.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's kind of like art compounding on more art. So the way I look at my work now, because I primarily work with therapists, and then of course we have some staff, I see almost all therapists. They're all artists in their own way, right? The way that they want to help people, right? Clinical interventions and diagnoses and support and resources and all that stuff. And a lot of them, not that interested in the analyst part, right? The back end, the administration.
Right.
So I can also talk all day about like retention and time to value and how many, dollars per session and like LTV, lifetime value of like the customers and all that stuff. Like all that kind of nerdy stuff really gets me jazzed up too. It's like, and then a lot of times when I start ranting with some of the clinicians, I can almost see like the glaze set in, like, okay.
It's just over here. Like what you just said, those 3 terms, I was like, I don't know what you're saying, but it sounds impressive. So so just like, oh, big words. I don't know. That's probably the look you're getting.
And we all have it, client retention type stuff. So like, in any case, I also love not only are you in the art of like clinical, therapy, but I love how you just bring like more what we think of as traditional kind of art methods in there, because I heard this great description of creativity once. I don't remember when or who, so I can't give credit, but they describe creativity as just this energy that flows through the universe and all of us, and how even to the person who says I'm not that creative, it flows through you. You just got to figure out your way to tap into it.
Absolutely. That was beautiful.
I wish I came up with it, but I heard it somewhere on an interview, I'm sure, from someone else. Yeah. But so when I was preparing to talk with you, it's one of the first things I thought of, because I know we talked about art and you had like pictures up behind you when we were meeting online. So
good memory.
I just thought it was great. Yeah. So I was excited to sit down with you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I look forward to our future conversations.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so let me get to our signature question. Okay, this is our last question of the interview. I finish all the interviews like this.
Nice.
So, Marissa, our show is called Listen to Your Heart.
Yes.
Marissa, when you listen to your heart, what's it saying?
Aw. I'm so fun. You mean right now in this very moment?
Generally.
My heart, it is, in this moment, my heart is like, chee-hoo. Like I feel like I'm in it right now. I'm vibing.
Yeah.
Generally, in addition to the chee-hoo, that's always hanging out. I think my heart, in this season of my life, it just says like, I want to be soft and I want to connect. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Marissa Buendicho, thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in to Listen to Your Heart. If you'd like to help our mission, check out the link in our bio to visit our store or make a donation to our nonprofit, Imua Heart. Like, comment, and share with friends and family. Subscribe for future episodes, and together we can Imua towards a happier, healthier Hawaii. Until next time, mahalo.